Welcome to your Healing Place podcast with Linda and Mindy. It is our desire to address common concerns of how abortion and faith intersect in order to validate the emotional pain and grief that abortion can bring and give hope that recovery is possible. I want to share with you part of my story where shame and the enemy were huge. I had 3 abortions. They all were before I was saved, before I was a Christian. When I got saved, I would lay in my bed at night. Now, see, just by way of understanding, I didn't grow up in the South. I didn't grow up where there was a lot of church going on. So I didn't have any context for Christianity. I didn't understand things like grace and that we're all the same at the cross. I didn't understand that I had weapons of warfare, and I had no clue that there was even such a thing called spiritual warfare. So I would lay in my bed at night and I would hear things like, God can't love you because you killed his kids, and those people aren't like you, they'll never understand you. Now, I was in Bible studies, I was in prayer teams, I was involved. Nobody was talking about the things they struggled with in these, groups and at church. And so I genuinely thought I was the only one. Nobody else struggles. And so because of these things that I was hearing at night that was being whispered into my ears and in my heart, I thought, well, this is easy. I'll just leave. I don't want to be rejected. I'll make the first move and I'll step out of here, and that'll be an easy thing. But the reality is I had tasted that the Lord was good. I enjoyed being in those spaces with those people. And I was miserable when I just went back to what I knew. It was very comfortable. It was like putting on an old leather coat. It's very worn in, and I used to have this old leather coat that's a really good picture of this, and it had a cigarette hole in the back. It was faded. It was really out of style, but it worked well, and I liked it because it was familiar. Putting on a new leather coat was like walking into Christianity for me. I wasn't familiar. It was uncomfortable, it was tight, it wasn't broken in, I wasn't used to it and those kinds of things. So anyway, I left the church, and I spent a year just back in my old lifestyle and really miserable, hating it with a passion. And after about a year, I decided I want to be in church. I want to be with God. I want to do things his way to the best of my understanding at that time. And I went back. When I did, I actually moved to a different state by this time, and I founded a completely different church. And what I discovered is they weren't talking about their struggles either. And I thought, well, okay, I'll just won't talk about it. And what I learned about that now when I look back is that kept me silent. That kept me ineffective actually as a believer, because I couldn't share what Jesus had done for me because I was afraid to talk about it. That's what shame does. Keeps you quiet, keeps you silent, keeps you sharing about the glorious good news that Jesus has saved us. Me, somebody who's destroyed 3 of my children, saved me. And that's huge. That was huge for me. And when I got to the point where I just got tired of holding in my story is after I just started sharing it more and more, and being met with the fact that most people aren't there to shame. Most people there are to meet, greet, and love you. And that is genuinely how I started overcoming the shame, that and just growing in my faith and my knowledge of Jesus Christ. And so, as I mentioned in a previous audio, every answer for overcoming shame is found in Jesus Christ. Every solution. And when we surrender fully, as I finally did, I now can share this. And because it's no longer my story. See, it's his story. He died. He took my place on that cross. He took my sin on that cross. And in exchange, I get new life. I get an easy load. I don't have to bear the weight. of the punishment that my sin deserved, because he came and he took it. Thank you for listening. This podcast was inspired by the many conversations had through the years with women struggling from the emotional pain associated with abortion. Thank you for allowing us into your healing journey. Subscribe on major platforms where podcasts can be heard. Learn more about virtual abortion recovery healing at www.anevenplace.com. The link is in the show notes.